A letter written in 1765 with the permission of dignitaries on the dais, elders in the audience. I read an excerpt. The letter is from one of the most courageous commanders in the Maratha Confederacy. He writes an instruction for a military expedition to Gwalior, an instruction to attack the fort at Gohad. The letter reads, proceed to Gwalior after crossing the Chambal. Halt there for 4 or 5 days. Keep big artillery. Arrange for ammunition. Keep the artillery at Gwalior. Proceed further after making arrangements for the expenses of the arms. And march. And as you march, arrange for military posts to be located for the protection of the road that comes before you and the road that you leave behind. This military instruction by a commander was for young Ahilyabai. Today, under the aegis of Lokmata Ahilyabai Holkar Tricentenary celebration, we come together to pay homage to a lady who was called the philosopher Queen of India, to a woman who was saintly in her disposition, to a ruler who redefined social welfare, and a young girl who made a promise to make the future bright and better for everyone she knew. For she believed her life was a service to her dharma. On this stage today, as I see women from various walks of life, Vandana ji from Mahila Samanvay, Brahmacharini Devaki ji, a lady who is a scientist, Asha Lata ji, all these women on stage are just but a manifestation of the accumulated strength, talent and valor of Ahilyabai Holkar. I'm extremely grateful that when I was called upon to unveil the book, I realized that the contents of it was translated by a man. And on the cover page was not the often used photograph of Ahilyabai Holkar with a shivling in her hand, but the pictorial evidence at the cover of the book was a woman on a horse with her sword drawn against the enemy. The warrior class, many have presumed about our nation, belongs to a particular caste. The life of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar is but one more historical evidence to those who create a negative understanding of our country, our culture, our civilization, that you rose to high status and stature by the virtue of our karma, not by the geography of our birth. I am grateful today as I unveil the book on the life, the legend of Ahilyabai Holkar, that when we speak of her, we often speak of her desire, her life's work of restoration of temples. But if you look at her early life, what did that life give evidence to? And I continue to press upon the word evidence. For in today's day and age of multimedia, often the Parivar is accused of ignoring women. It is but natural for me on this stage to talk to those who wonder what the Parivar thinks of women, that this Parivar is possibly the only Parivar in India that is celebrating 300 years of the birth of Ahilyabai Holkar. No other organization, individual or political ideology is celebrating her life. And I press upon the word evidence because history has had much of a habit of erasing the memory and the legends of many a people from Sanatan Dharma. It is but ironic that in the time that Ahilyabai Holkar reigned, so did in another Bhubhag of India, of Bharat, was the tyrannical reign of Tipu Sultan. Much was written about him, much was evidenced about him, much was celebrated about him, but not much, except by the then government, the release of one postage stamp was done for Ahilyabai Holkar. Her legend broke many a myths about how our nation state, our civilization is perceived to be. Born to Mankoji Shinde and Sushila Shinde in the district now in Maharashtra, which has been renamed as the Ahilyabai Holkar's district. In Chaunde she was born. She belonged to a family of shepherds. And at the age of 8, she was discovered for her skill, her talent, her resilience, and her intellect. A sister amongst 5 brothers, those who accuse our civilization, our way of life, as a way of life that denied women many rights, I proudly say today that her first education came from her own home. At the age of 8, when she was discovered by Malhar Rao, he was fascinated when he saw her at a temple service. He wanted to ensure that young Ahilyabai is taken for marriage to his son. They were wed, but Ahilya's education did not come to a standstill. While Malhar Rao fought many a battles, he ensured that Ahilyabai was taught finance, diplomacy, military skill, governance, and many aspects of the revenue systems. I say this today because the biggest misconception is that this pious queen and a whole life's journey was only and only about restoration of temples. It's as though her love for her nation, her contribution to her people was to be left untouched, not discussed or ever brought to life. Today, I proudly, when I look at the cover of the book, remember that throughout her married life, While she trained in administration, accounts and politics, she was also granted khasgi, which means a shepherd's daughter is brought to the ruling class, taught everything, and then given a land grant. The letter that I read out described the faith that the commander instilled in his daughter-in-law's valor. Today, as I speak about Ahilyabai Holkar, I recognize that she saw two aspects of governance, one military and the other civil. While I spoke of her valor at war, I speak about the candor with which she ruled. Everybody expected her to dispense justice swiftly, but not many knew that she would personally sit in when she heard how every crime in her kingdom was investigated. I know my senior from Sevika Samiti is a lawyer, and she has a wonderful story to share from the reign of Ahilyabai Holkar, when a widow, her land, her property was being usurped by one of the military men in Ahilyabai Holkar's reign. This widow went to Ahilyabai Holkar seeking support, and Ahilyabai Holkar ensured that the widow is not only protected, but along with it, she ensured that her property was instilled in the hands of the widow, ensuring that the military man could not usurp the rights of a woman in need. The fact that she dispensed justice not only to human beings, but also to all living beings in her kingdom. For when she was asked, why do you prepare the soil for animals? Why do you prepare the environment for better crops? Why do you collect small water pots for birds? Why do you clean rivers? She says, I am the queen who is to serve all living beings, in which my dharma says Pran resides. Today, when people speak about sustainability, if you take a lesson from the life of Ahilyabai Holkar, you will realize that she redefined sustainable development 200 years ago. I proudly stand here today in the shadow of her legend. When I say this, that how is a ruler measured by the common subject? A ruler is measured well by a common subject when they are not only ferocious in their defense of the law, ferocious in their pursuit of justice, but also kind in their dispensation. That Ahilyabai Holkar was such a queen who not only sat upon the investigation of every crime, but also gave the death penalty sparingly, meant this is a woman of grit. But when evidence was presented, she also presided over such cases with grace and humanity. Today, as I stand before you and pay homage to the life, the work, the legend of Ahilyabai Holkar, I am but reminded that just yesterday when I discussed her in the nation's capital, we called her Punya Shloka. One who is sacred and divine. And when you speak about her divinity, her sacrifice, her contribution to Sanatan Dharma, we often speak about the over 1,000 temples she restored across the nation. Kedarnath is spoken of, Ujjain Mahakal is spoken of, but what is wondrous about her contribution to Kashi? When the Kashi Vishwanath temple was plundered, The Shivalinga from the temple, hidden in one corner of the Prangana. In the dead of night, many rulers came to that Shivalinga and paid obeisance. But when Ahilyabai Holkar visited, the not made up shrine, but a Shivalinga under open sky, she decided this Shivalinga, this temple of hers, of everybody who believes in Sanatan Dharma, deserved a roof. So while many rulers did not have the capacity, the courage to stand up to tyranny, she, a woman who believed in Dharma and Karma, helped build, restore not only the temple structure but also gave her contribution to creation of ghats so that under her contribution, Sanatan Dharma's flag could fly high. Today, as I speak of her, and historical records will testify that her contribution for temples and 1100 so are evident from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. And that is why my appeal to the writers who wrote about Ahilyabai Holkar in this lovely book, if possible, let's trace all the 1100 temples to which she gave her contribution. For in that restoration lives Ahilyabai Holkar to this day. She lives not only in the temples she served, she lives also in the hearts of weavers in the state of Madhya Pradesh in a place called Maheshwar. Today, 250 weavers and 1500 looms in Maheshwar still survive because of the contribution of Ahilyabai Holkar. That she gave birth to small industries, that she created institutions of education, that she dispensed justice, that she served her religion and her region with piety is what we today pay salutations to. My biggest regret is I deliver my speech in English. The only Malayalam I know is Yengenonde. But maybe that is why we have survived as a civilization. That no matter what our language, the only thread that joins us all is our service to our nation, to our civilization, and the reverence with which we hold legends like Lokmata Ahilyabai Holkar. That I would start my day in New Delhi and come all the way to Kerala, Ernakulam, with a legend that is 300 years old. That is what truly is a tribute to Bharat and Bharat Mata's valor. This is what makes us the unique civilization that we are. I am extremely grateful to the committee that serves the Lokmata Ahilyabai Holkar Tricentenary celebration, for you brought the next generation to celebrate her life through articles, through essays, through competition. One of the awardees, I stopped her and I asked her, "What did you write?" And I saw her face break into a smile when she related to me everything about Ahilyabai Holkar. I say this today because when this program began and the lamp was to be lit, I was given the first opportunity because they thought I was the VIP. And then I passed on the lamp to Sir. And I said, "Sir, we are all women standing here, you should go first." Sir smiled as a brother would when requested by a sister. And then I requested Brahmacharini Devaki ji to light the next lamp. I did so because when you have to bring darkness into light, you first give the opportunity to an elder who walks the path of dharma. And I requested Brahmacharini ji to light the second wick. For when you want to light the lamp of dharma, you give it to those who have led a life of sacrifice and piety. The rest of us just joined in their shadow. For Sanatan Dharma lives as long as we hold close to us institutions and individuals that define sacrifice, that define piety, that define dedication to the Hindu Sanatan Dharma. My salutations again to the team for organizing this wonderful celebration of the life and the legend of Lokmata Ahilyabai Holkar. And my request, I believe that the Prant Baudhik Sikshan Pramukh ji can maybe next time teach me enough Malayalam for me to speak in the local language. With that, my heartiest gratitude and congratulations to all of you who are a party to this celebration of the life of the philosopher queen, who is the jewel